Good afternoon, and welcome to the Tuesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and we'll be joined by our attorney, Robert Bly, for the Q&A after the presentation. Today is February 21st, and we still find ourselves in pre-RV purgatory, although I'm hopeful that this will not be lasting too much longer. For those of you that are new to our call, I welcome you as well. We have a standard format. We spend just a few minutes talking about the revaluation of these currencies. We spend a little bit of time talking about the program that we've put into place to assist you, and then we go to our Q&A. I make 2 calls a week, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. I myself am growing very weary of these calls, and I, as much as anybody, look forward to the revaluation of these currencies, not only because I won't have to be making these particular calls, but because I'm a holder of a substantial amount of currency myself, and there's other things I'd like to do in life other than get together and have these conference calls, although I have gotten to know a lot of you and enjoy our conversations. So let's go ahead and get into the information we have for today. Let's start with the RV. Things have gone rather dark lately. In my opinion, that's a good sign. To me, it means, and again, this is my opinion, that I's are being dotted, T's are being crossed, everything's being lined up. A lot of things have to fall into place simultaneously, and so there's a lot of back-channel communications and preparations that are being made. But I'm going to run through some basic information for you. And let's deal primarily with Iraq. We know now that Mosul has, for all intents and purposes, been liberated, and that western Mosul, which was the last stand for ISIS in the Anbar province and Iraq proper, is pretty much a done deal. There are some house-to-house searches going on to clean out what remains of those cockroaches, but for all intents and purposes, Mosul has been liberated, and Iraq as well. We do know that last week that the CBI, the Central Bank of Iraq, did have a meeting with the IMF and the World Bank. It probably had to do with their letter of intent and checking off all of the boxes. We know that the auctions in Iraq have stopped. They were selling the dinar, the provisional currency, in order to acquire the U.S. dollar, which is what they needed in order to fulfill and to pay for their international contracts. Those auctions have stopped, which is a signal that they're preparing for the revaluation of their currency. We know that both the SWIFT and the IBAN systems are in place. The SWIFT system has to do with transactions in country within Iraq. The IBAN system has to do with transactions and contractual arrangements being done across borders outside of Iraq. We do know that we are told at least that the blockchain system is in place. This is the system having to do with the new digital transactions, and another reason that the Iraqi currency had to be shifted to the e-dinar. We also know that the security concerns that were addressed from the IMF and the World Bank are being addressed, namely that the e-system will make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for nefarious forces like ISIS and even the Iranian Revolutionary Guard are not going to be able to get their hands on the provisional currency. We also know that this is going to stop the money laundering from some of the corrupt officials during the Maliki period of time. And we also know that this goes part and parcel with border control, namely that outside individuals do not come in and try to grab as much of the provisional currency as they can in order to exchange it for themselves, or that Iraqi nationals in country will have a denominational establishment of the currency, will try to go outside of the country and work some sort of a deal with a foreign national that would be able to do an exchange recognizing the 3 zeros. We also know that Iraq and the CBI has met the minimum benchmark goal of the IMF and the World Bank, namely that at least 75% of the provisional currency has been collected. They refer to the deletion of the zeros, but technically it's the collection of the provisional zeros. We're being told that upwards of 95% of that currency in country has been collected. We also know that they are proceeding with the currency reforms having to do, of course, as I said, with the establishment of the SWIFT, IBAN, and blockchain systems, followed by the deletion or the collection of the provisional currency in country. Then we will see the rise of the dinar in value, particularly against the U.S. dollar. Finally, the release of the lower denominations in the coinage, and then the two-tiered revaluation, the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar in country, where the 3 zeros will not be recognized or differentiated from the new currency, and then the revaluation globally, where those foreign nationals, foreign investment firms, foreign central banks that do in fact have the 3-0 currency, provisional currency, that currency will be recognized. Now, what this leads me to believe, and again, this is my opinion, is that I'm very cautiously optimistic that the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar will occur in the first quarter before the end of March. If that were in fact to happen, the nation would be able to make that revaluation retroactive to January 1st, which is another reason to get that done as well. I see nothing on the horizon right now that would be an impediment to getting that done. Now, we do know from past experience that there is some foot dragging in Iraq, frankly, because there are corrupt officials there who, for their own reasons, try to defer and delay these things. But it seems that most of the advantages in the status quo that those corrupt officials were taking advantage of have been eradicated. And now, with the passage of the accountability and justice law, these individuals at least ought to know better than to attempt to artificially delay the revaluation for their own selfish purposes. So, again, I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to get this done in the first quarter. Obviously, we want to get it done as quickly as possible because we don't want to have a revaluation very late within the last 2 weeks of the quarter, because that's going to create a tax problem for us. We don't really know what the tax implications are. And if the currency, for example, the Iraqi dinar, should come out in a low artificial float, say 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar, which is my expectation initially, that will not give us sufficient time to hold the currency to allow it to appreciate back to the $3 plus area, because we'd be required to exchange at least some of the currency in order to pay whatever the tax implication is going to be. But it looks as though everything that needs to be done has pretty much been accomplished. And so again, and I'll say it one more time, I'm cautiously optimistic for the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar before the end of this first quarter. Now, that being the case, those of you that have not as yet gotten your affairs in order or don't even understand what that requires have very little time left to get this done. Now, Trusts Unlimited has put into place a system to assist you. It's a turnkey two-phased program. Phase 1 is pre-RV. Phase 2 is post-RV. Pre-RV involves the establishment of a pre-RV asset protection trust and the assignment of those currencies on paper to that trust. Post-RV involves all of the products, services, and professional referrals that will be made available to those of you that do have our pre-RV asset protection trust. So let's start with Phase 1, which is the establishment of your pre-RV trust. Very simply, a trust is a legal instrument one can establish to hold, manage, and to protect assets. Trusts fall into some basic general categories. For example, a trust can either be revocable or it can be irrevocable. In order to have the asset protection you're going to need and want, you're going to need to establish a package of irrevocable trusts, and that package must be established prior to the revaluation of these currencies for the following reasons. First, by establishing your pre-RV asset protection trust package and assigning your currencies on paper to that package, you will preserve your privacy and your anonymity. That's because assets held within an irrevocable trust package are sealed and the general public will have no knowledge of your net worth or your actual holdings. Second, by establishing this pre-RV trust, you will be transferring the taxable event of the revaluation from yourself as an individual to your trust. Now, why is this important? If you're holding these currencies in direct title when they revalue, the IRS computers will automatically spit out an audit. And with the potential magnitude of this revaluation relative to your prior year's earnings, you're certainly going to be looking at a full-blown 6-year audit. That's going to be time-consuming, it's going to be frustrating, and it's probably going to cost you more than the cost of an asset protection trust. On the other hand, if your currencies are within an asset protection trust, the taxable event will occur within that trust unless there is less than a 10% chance of an IRS audit of a trust. But even if the IRS determines to audit your trust, they can't do a 6-year audit. They can only audit the year of the revaluation. The third reason you'd want to establish this pre-RV trust package is if you plan on doing gifting to family and friends in certain situations. Philanthropic gifting can always be done on a tax-preferred basis, either pre- or post-RV. But in order to avoid a substantial 40% federal gift tax, you're going to need to gift currencies to family and friends before the revaluation. Now, if you're gifting to individuals that you have no problem giving them the lump sum, you can give them the currency outright that they can exchange themselves, or you can do the exchange and give them the lump sum. This can be accomplished outside of a trust utilizing a standard gift letter. But if you're gifting to friends and family in situations where you're hesitant to give them the lump sum, then you can gift to them through your trust. By gifting through your trust, your pre-RV trust, you will avoid the 40% federal gift tax. The language of our trust package allows you to gift up to a certain amount of a currency or currencies, meaning you can gift the exact dollar amount that you had in mind irrespective of the exchange rate. And because you're gifting through the trust, you will have complete control of the post-RV proceeds, which you can then distribute as you deem appropriate. The fourth reason you'd want to establish this pre-RV trust package is because it's structured in such a way as to allow your estate to bypass the cost and delay of probate and the federal estate tax. I'll give you 2 quick scenarios. Scenario number 1, you purchase 5 million dinar for $5,000. The day after that, those currencies revalue for $25 million. The day after that, you pass away, leaving your heirs an estate of $25 million. Now that estate must go through probate, a process that can ordinarily take anywhere from 6 to 18 months. But probate is a public disclosure process, meaning that the general public will be aware of the size of your estate, who your heirs are, and how much they each stand to inherit. So if anyone feels they have a legitimate claim against you, your estate, or your heirs, they can simply file that claim with the probate court. And that could tie the estate up for years and even decades. And your heirs will have either limited access or no access at all to their respective inheritance until the probate process is completed. Then there's the federal estate tax, the tax that the federal government will assess to your estate through the probate process. Under current law, the first $5 million of that $25 million estate will bypass any federal estate tax, but the balance could be taxed as much as 55%. Scenario number 2, you purchase 5 million dinar for $5,000. The day after that, you assign those currencies on paper to our asset protection trust package. The day after that, those currencies revalue for $25 million. The day after that, you pass away, leaving your heirs an estate of $25 million in our asset protection trust package. As a result, there will be no probate, there will be no public disclosure of your estate, your heirs will have immediate access to their inheritance, and the federal estate tax will be 0, saving your heirs as much as 55% of their inheritance. The fifth reason you'd want to establish this pre-RV asset protection trust package is for some very specific asset protection benefits. One pre-RV, one post-RV. Pre-RV, this trust package will allow you to circumvent something called the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. What does that mean? Under our system of civil procedure, you can only be sued for what you own in direct title or the value of property at the time you transfer it out of title to an entity like our trust package. So let's use the previous example. You purchase 5 million dinar for $5,000. The day after that, you assign those currencies to your asset protection trust. Those currencies subsequently revalue for $25 million. You begin to live a lifestyle more reflective of your newfound wealth, and a couple of years later, someone sees you're living rather large and decides for whatever reason that they're going to sue you. Well, this prospective plaintiff has two problems. First, they better have a very good civil case, because this trust is structured in such a way as to make it extremely expensive and extremely time-consuming to proceed with civil proceeding. Second, once the prospective plaintiff learns that pursuant to the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act, the only thing they could ever win by way of a civil award would be the pre-RV value of $5,000, which is all the currencies were worth when you transferred them to the trust, and none of the post-RV $25 million, there will be no lawsuit. Post-RV, there's a benefit I like to refer to as limited liability stop loss. This is accomplished through a strategy called segregation of assets. This is why you establish a package of trusts, and this is how it would work. Once again, we'll use the same example. You purchase 5 million dinar, assign them to your trust. It subsequently revalues for $25 million. Now you have $25 million in trust. So you decide to make some purchases. You purchase a larger primary residence, a vacation home, perhaps a half a dozen rental properties for tax write-off and additional cash flow, a couple of cars, a boat, and maybe an RV. And as you purchase these items, you place each of them in their own separate subtrust to be managed by your master trust. Now, why is this important? Well, let's say one day you're driving one of your new cars, you have an accident, the accident is clearly your fault, and tragically someone is seriously injured or even killed. Well, the family of the victim is going to want to sue you. But remember, civil suits are about monetary awards, and you don't own anything. So those plaintiffs are left to sue the owner of the car. And who is the owner of the car which you were driving? One of your subtrusts of which you are the beneficiary. And what's in that subtrust? Merely that one car and the car insurance policy. In that scenario, the car insurance carrier will negotiate an out-of-court settlement with the victim's family. You will not be involved in those negotiations. The car insurance carrier will repair or replace your car, making you whole, and all of your other assets are safely protected in other subtrusts. And this is exactly the scenario that would ensue if you or any of your other assets ever got involved in a civil proceeding. So your package of trusts, by way of a metaphor, work very much the way a barge would work, where all of the valuable cargo is stored in a series of small compartments. Why? In the event that any compartment is ever breached, the only potential loss would be the cargo in that one compartment. The cargo in the other compartments is safe and secure due to the firewalls, and the barge will never sink. Now, these benefits are lost to you if you do not establish your irrevocable trust package prior to the revaluation of these currencies. And it looks as though the revaluation of these currencies could occur in the very near future. Now, there's one other benefit, and it's this. If you are, in fact, a holder of one of our asset protection trust packages, then you will be eligible to participate in all of the products, services, and professional referrals that will be made available to you and which will be extremely important for you after the revaluation of these currencies. I'll just give you one example. We will be having a post-RV seminar approximately 30 days after the revaluation of these currencies. It will be held in Disney World, Orlando, Florida, and if you are the holder of one of our asset protection trusts, you'll be able to attend and participate in that seminar. Present at that seminar will, of course, be the staff of Trusts Unlimited to instruct and assist you with the management and funding of your trust post-RV. We will also have our tax specialists there as well. We will also have our offshore specialists. They will show you that by establishing offshore title of certain assets, you'll be able to substantially reduce and in some cases even eliminate future taxes on the reinvestment of the proceeds from these revaluations. We'll also have our independent fee-based wealth managers there as well. It's critical that you reposition money as quickly as possible after the revaluation for a number of reasons. First, we know statistically that 95% of all windfalls, however large and from whatever source, are lost within 3 to 5 years due to a lack of experience and mismanagement. We also know that the new G20 bank bail-in provisions are structured in such a way so that bank failures will no longer be made whole through the general taxing authority of governments, but first and foremost by confiscating funds from the account holders at those banks. So you're going to want to get your money out of the banks and repositioned. And lastly, we know that the revaluation of these currencies will be the catalyst for the global currency reset, which is a shift from fiat-based to commodity-based currencies. That's going to create extremely volatile markets, and you're going to want to have your money out of the banks and at work in tangible assets and other types of investments as quickly as possible. Lastly, many of you have expressed desires to establish scholarship funds, foundational trusts, special needs trusts, charitable remainder trusts, and even the more complicated 501c3 nonprofit and offshore trusts. And we can assist you with that at our seminar. The proper way to fund those newly established post-RV entities is by transferring funds directly from your pre-RV asset protection trust to those newly formed entities. Now, our trust package is initially a package of 10 trusts consisting of 1 master trust, 1 optional gift subtrust, and 8 blank subtrusts. This was the simplification of a rather sophisticated trust package that we have utilized in the past for our more affluent clients, a package that has an initial cost of anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. But several years ago when we decided to assist Denarians, we knew that that price was going to be simply unaffordable for most of you, and so we restructured and back-end loaded that trust post-RV, and by doing so, we've been able to reduce the cost to $3,000. Now, there are a number of ways you can pay for that. If you pay us up front, we'll discount the price further to $2,500, saving you an additional $500. If that's simply not possible, we do have a deferred payment plan. You'd make an initial payment of $525, which would defray our out-of-pocket costs just to prepare and deliver your trust. Then the balance of the $3,000 would be paid in $100 monthly installments. We charge no interest. The only proviso is once the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar occurs, any unpaid balance would need to be paid within 30 days prior to our post-RV seminar. This particular deferred payment arrangement makes it possible for anyone with currencies who understands the need for establishing their trust pre-RV will be in a position to afford to do so. One other suggestion, we do accept credit cards. If you pay us up front with a credit card, you'll get the $500 discount, and the balance that would be paid to the credit card in terms of the minimum payments would be less than the $100 a month you'd be paying us for our deferred payment plan. But we will work with you in whatever method works best for you. Our objective is to get your trust in place prior to the revaluation for all of the benefits that I've described. Now, that's basically the information I wanted to provide for today. For the benefit of our newer callers, however, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about Trusts Unlimited and why you may want to seriously consider allowing us to assist you. Our trust package was authored by our attorney, Robert Bly. He's been a practicing attorney for over 40 years, specializing in the areas of estate planning, asset protection, and offshore planning. I myself hold degrees in political science, macroeconomics, and finance. I've worked in these areas for over 37 years, and I, along with my clients, were personally involved in the revaluation of the Kuwaiti dinar in the early 90s. So between the two of us, Robert Bly and I have over 77 years' experience working precisely in this area. And I frankly know of no firm that can make that claim. Now, Bob and I have been working together for a decade in the areas of estate planning, asset protection, and offshore planning, and it has been disheartening from time to time to see people walk away from sound estate planning and trust creation because of the mistaken belief that by doing so, they have somehow lost control of their assets and their affairs. In point of fact, it's just the reverse. It's when you hold assets in direct title that you can lose control of them. And invariably, it's at precisely those times in life that you need and want control. If you've lived for any length of time, you've either experienced in your own life or through friends and family things like unexpected divorce, permanent incapacitation, the onset of dementia, premature death and prolonged and complicated probate processes. Then there are investment losses, business losses, and even bankruptcies. The number 2 loss of wealth now in the aggregate, courtesy of the information age, is now identity theft. But the number 1 loss of wealth remains personal confiscation through civil litigation. Anything you own in direct title can be taken from you. So in point of fact, the only way that you can manage, control, and protect everything at all times and in all circumstances is through the establishment of your package of irrevocable trusts, and particularly if you have an asset like these currencies that you're anticipating a substantial increase in value. And we at Trust Unlimited will do everything we can to help you accomplish your personal and financial objectives both pre- and post-RV as we understand them. So again, I'd like to thank you for listening to the call. I hope it's been informative, particularly for our new callers, those of you calling in for the first time. If you've not listened to our calls, I would strongly suggest that you contact us, and I will be providing that information in a moment. Contact us and get our initial package. It has a lot of valuable information about the revaluation, about trusts, and about Trusts Unlimited. You're under absolutely no obligation by getting this package. In addition, after you review the package, if you have any questions or you'd like to pursue this with additional inquiries, there's absolutely no consultation fee. We will assist you in every way possible. If you should decide to proceed, we will work just as quickly as you do to make sure that your affairs are in order, that your trust is in place, that your currencies are properly assigned to that trust, so that you're well prepared once that revaluation occurs. I'm going to go to the Q&A in just a moment. When I open the Q&A, if you'd like to ask a question, just dial *6. And when I call your area code out, if you'd just be kind enough to give us your first name and where you're calling from, we'll be happy to entertain your question. 2 quick rules on the Q&A. First, we take no service questions. If you're an existing client, you can contact us either by phone or email, and we'll assist you if you have a service question. Second, we have a number of people on the call under anonymous. That's fine. We have no problem. Anyone that wishes to listen is welcome to do so. However, in order to participate in the Q&A, your name and number must be on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and open the Q&A now. And while I'm waiting for any potential questions, I'd like to give our newer callers our contact information. You can go to our website, which is trustswithans.unlimitedllc.com. Our email address is trustswithans.unlimitedllc@gmail.com. Our phone service is 307-274-4122. If you'd like to listen to a recent conference call playback, or if you'd be kind enough to refer us to someone that might be interested in our services, you can either go to iqdcalls.com, go to Trusts Unlimited and follow the prompts, or you can dial the same number that you dialed for this live call this afternoon, with the exception of the last 2 digits. Rather than dialing 40, you'll dial 39, and then you'll use the same access code, which is 739-394#. If you'd like to be included on our email list, you can go to our website, go to the bottom, enter your name and email address where indicated. You will be on our email list within 24 hours. Now, we do not send emails out very frequently pre-RV, but once the revaluation of these currencies takes place, there will probably be emails going out almost daily. So it would be very important to be part of that informational stream after the revaluation. Now, we do have a few callers in the queue. Our first caller is area code 541. That's 541. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim. This is Michael in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
If I get your package of 10 trusts and I activate all the trusts, but I'm only using a couple or 3 or 4 of them, and I pass away and my successor beneficiary is an adult and he's got a car and a house, can he transfer his car and his house into one of the unused trusts for the trustees to manage?
Probably not, and the reason being, you set the trust up, so you're the primary beneficiary. The trustee is merely there to manage assets. If you were to pass away, the assets within that trust would be distributed to your heirs pursuant to the instructions within the trust. Now, if the instructions within the trust are that the trust would remain in force and that the trustee would manage the trust, the beneficiaries would be able to put assets within the trust, but not the trustee.
Okay, maybe I was not clear. My intention was my beneficiary who takes over in my position, who has his own car because he's an adult and his own house, can he add those to the trust as assets of the trust for which
yes,
the trustees could continue to manage?
Correct. I could have misunderstood your question. Yes, the successor beneficiaries, the people that would ultimately inherit the estate, would be able to place assets in trust, but the trustee would not.
Okay, that's good, because that's what I was thinking is, what would happen with my grandkids or my great-grandkids? Would they have to start over with new trusts, or could they continue to use the trust?
Well, to be honest with you, they would probably be in a position to afford to establish their own trust and name their own trustee. But again, that's a decision they could make at that time.
Okay, well, that answers that question. So my trust is really a generational type trust. If the
it can operate that way, yes.
Okay, excellent. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, our next caller is area code 404. That's 404. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim. This is Donald from Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
My trustee passed away. How do I go about renaming the trustee?
Wow. Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
What you would need to do is you're going to send us an email, and in that email you're going to say, my name is such and such. The name of my master trust is such and such. My trustee named such and such has unfortunately passed away. I would like to name the following person as my trustee. Can you please rewrite the trust to incorporate my new trustee?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And please get that to us as soon as you can, because if the revaluation were to occur, you're going to need to have a trustee in place. Now, do you have how long ago was your trust written?
About a year ago.
Okay. Did you name a successor trustee there?
No, I didn't.
Okay. What you're going to do, when you send us that email, give us the name of a person that you would like to have as your trustee, but also give us a second person that could be the substitute. The reason being is if anything should happen to the first trustee, you will automatically have someone to step in.
Okay.
Okay?
The reason I didn't is because it was told that I didn't need but one trustee at the time.
That's true, but what we have learned, unfortunately, dealing with these banks is that some of the banks will require, if you only have one active trustee, that you have named a successor. So we've come to the conclusion, and what we do with every trust now is we only name one active trustee, but we also name one successor for that roughly 20% of the banks that are going to require that. Because we don't know where you're going to do your exchange, so we have to cover that base in the event the bank requires it.
Okay, thanks a lot, guy.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, our next caller is area code 312. That's 312. Go ahead.
Hey, Jim, it's Les, Chicago. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
And hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, the gurus have said that they reported on the news yesterday that Iraq is going to raise the dinar $1.20 to the $1 to the dollar, and then today they reported that they're going to stop using all U.S. dollars. That's what the gurus reported today.
I understand that. That's unfortunately information that I was not able to confirm today. But if that were true, it dovetails with what I said, which is basically that they need to get the dinar at a slight premium over the dollar in order to collect they've collected 95% of the provisional currency. Now they want to collect the U.S. dollar. Now that float rate of, let's say it's $1.20, should rise. So we will find out, because they can make whatever claim they want in country. It will not be until the IMF and the World Bank go ahead and bless the currency internationally that rate or any other rate will be accepted in exchange for the dinar globally.
Okay. All right.
So that could be entirely true, and it may be 10 days. I mean, let's assume that it's true. I haven't confirmed it, but let's assume that's true. It still could be 10 days before the currency goes international.
Yeah, because he said this was all reported on the television yesterday and today.
Well, obviously, if that turns out to be true, and I still have some people I have to talk to, we've absolutely reached a point of no return. Because if the currency is recognized by the CBI, by the government, and exchange rates in country, obviously it's only a matter of time until it becomes international.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right.
Well, that was our last caller for this afternoon. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the call. For those of you that are new callers, once again, contact us. Get our initial package. It has a lot of very valuable information. You'll learn a lot from it. You're under absolutely no obligation by getting this package. And in addition, you can contact us and ask whatever questions you wish. There will be no consultation fee. We look forward to assisting you. And it sounds as though we're getting close to the end here, so you're running out of time to get your affairs in order. Our next call is Thursday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. We look forward to speaking with you then. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.